Yo, what's going on? It's Charlie McCormack here. Before you watch this video, I want you to know that the video you're about to watch was taken from one of the sections of my full free webinar course for info and coaches in 2025, where we talked about offer and messaging, we talked about systems, tech, and automations, we talked about using AI, we talked about writing the script, and we talked about the webinar follow-up process. Now, if you want to watch this video specifically, because that's all you need to do your webinar campaigns, that's fine. But if you are an info product owner or a coach and you want to watch the entire free training, it's on YouTube. I will link it in the top link in the description. And without further ado, I won't take any more of your time and I will let you watch the video that you've selected right now.
So I'm going to jump straight into this and tell you how to craft the fundamentals and also craft webinar messaging for these campaigns. So what separates a great webinar from webinars that don't end up hitting the heights that you expected, because you might have never done a webinar before, or you might have done them and it didn't convert or perform the way that you wanted it to. And in my opinion, the thing that separates these are the preparation and the love that actually goes into them. If you promote a live event, a webinar campaign, and you pick the right offer and you craft the right messaging with accuracy and intention behind it, then everything else in the campaign is going to become far clearer and far easier for you. And it simply becomes a game of getting as many people as you possibly can to register and then show up to the event and then just not fucking up the presentation. So for me, the messaging, the offer, and the love and preparation that you put into it is the rising tide that lifts all ships and is the 80/20. Now, most people who I see, whose webinars I watch, because if anyone announces that they are doing a webinar campaign, I will always join to just see how they do it and see how they run it and see if I can take anything away from it for my clients. And most people I see in the info and coaching industry, they do webinars because they want a quick cash grab rather than treating it like the leverage selling mechanism that it is. Because one to many, in my opinion, is just a superior way to sell to your audience. And if you treat your webinars like a quick cash grab, you will simply make less money. It's as simple as that. You will make less money. And the more effort and love that you put into these campaigns, the more you will get out. So let me break down the anatomy of what I believe is a winning webinar campaign. The first thing to do before you do anything else is you need to pick the right offer to sell on your webinar. So if you're a coach or you own an info product, you likely, but not always, have a product suite that looks something akin to the following. So you might have a low ticket option, which might be a WAP, a school community, or a PDF, right? You might have a mid-ticket offer, which might be a course, it might be a cohort, something like that. And then for most of you, you will most likely have a high ticket, which is 2K plus, which might be a one-to-one coaching, it might be a done with you offer, it might be a mentorship, a networking group, or a licensing model, or a business in a box, or anything that you have more leverage in or is more high touch point. And it doesn't matter whether you just have one of these, you have two of these, or you have three of these. And for a bit of context, when webinars first came on the block, they were pioneered by the likes of Russell Brunson and Jason Fladley and kind of the OG internet marketers, as people I know call them. And most people were using webinars to sell mid-ticket, and they were using it to pitch their audience there and then. And this was so they didn't need a sales team. And when webinars first came around the block, this approach works, where you didn't need a sales team. You could just pitch people at the end and it would just make you money, right? But with our clients in the current landscape of info and coaching, because trust is low, people actually don't have too much money to just pay on the spot, we will use webinars to promote our high ticket offers. So rather than pitching to people like our rent is due tomorrow, like a madman, we simply just extend the chance to work with our client, and people jump at the chance to do so because they've just sat through what we have crafted, an excellent presentation that has demonstrated to them why our client's product is superior and will solve their problem. So pitching high ticket makes sense. Now, you don't always have to do this, but I want you to consider the reasons why I like pitching high ticket offers on live webinars. So the first reason is that high ticket requires more trust, it requires more information, and also more persuasion to get someone to part ways with this much of their hard-earned money. Webinars are perfect for this because they spent more time consuming our content, which means there is a higher likelihood of them buying something from us. The second reason is that those who book calls already know the price of the program and they are pre-sold. So webinar calls don't become sales calls, they become cash collection calls. And we often see close rates of up to 50 to 70% from the calls that we book from webinars. And we do this by using different type forms and different Calendlies for the closers to track what the close rates and the application rates were from webinars versus just their normal VSL funnel. The third reason is that by pitching high ticket to book a call, we then leave room to promote our mid or low ticket options for those on the call who genuinely do not have the money, because it's not just like we pitch high ticket so everyone is then going to pay high ticket. Not everyone will have the money for a high ticket offer. And for those who don't have the money, they are actually grateful for this and they see it as an opportunity and they see it as a win because they've just been pitched a high ticket. They were disappointed that they couldn't get it. So then when we make a re-offer to them, they're actually excited and they see it as a win for them. The fourth reason is that people will naturally opt for the cheaper option. If you pitch mid-ticket or low ticket, even those who have the money for the high ticket will simply choose those options, even though they could have afforded the more high ticket, more high touch point service and offer, which means that you will lose money. The fifth reason for us is that it only takes 10 to 20 high ticket sales from one webinar to clear 30 to 100K in cash collected. Therefore, it's far more difficult to collect that kind of money at a lower price point, just because you have to make more sales. And money is the goal of doing these webinars. So if you make more money by pitching high ticket, then why would you not want to pitch high ticket? And last but not least, your best case studies will most likely come from high ticket because it is a more hands-on program. Whereas if you pitch mid to low ticket, people have a reason not to resonate with those case studies and they will justify it to themselves by saying that, oh, those case studies were from the better program, so it won't work for me. And this is a disaster because we want to make people think that our offer is absolutely perfect for them and will take them perfectly from A to B. Now, it's important to know that I'm not saying that we shouldn't ever pitch on webinars. We have done webinars in the past and we still have clients that we do webinars for where we will actually pitch the audience on the call and they have performed well. But I still like high ticket and you need to use your due diligence, know your offer, know your audience, know what they would like, and then pitch accordingly whatever offer you think will perform best. So a quick litmus test when choosing an offer for a webinar is which offer gets your clients the desired result most frequently and solves the most amount of problems for them. And when you've got the answer to that question, pick that offer. Jason Fladlian, who is like the webinar godfather, says that people don't care about the price if they get what they need, but it has to be a true and genuine solution. The second thing is crafting the messaging and the marketing angles. Once you have chosen the offer that gets your clients the best results and solves the most amount of problems for them, you need to craft messaging around that campaign that acquires the attention of your audience and will draw in the most amount of qualified prospects to sign up to that webinar and actually attend it. So to help you understand for this section, I'm going to give you real life examples that we've used with our client, Callum Carver, as well as other messaging and campaigns that we've crafted for clients, and also what I have seen other people do that I think has worked well for them. Before we talk about messaging and marketing angles, it's important to note that the majority of the live webinar campaigns that we do for our clients, they have organic followings and the people joining this are their organic audience. Sometimes we will supplement the organic audience with paid ads, but the theory behind this section is usually validated via organic traffic. So it's important to note that. So the first example is from the webinar campaign that we did for Callum back in December. And for this event, we knew that the new year was coming around the corner and we wanted to capitalize on this as an opportunity to do a big Grand Slam webinar. So what we did is we analyzed some of Callum's best performing reels from the year 2024, and we saw which videos and which marketing messages his audience resonated with the most. We used this so we could craft some great messaging around the campaign. And what we found here from these videos that you see here that I've put in is that we analyzed every video that he posted that was to do with like time or how long was left until the end of the year, blew up, and 400K, 480K again, 1.7 million, and it got a lot of interaction. And this is probably because the market that he's targeting, which is it's like a B2C biz op where he teaches people how to turn their skills into profit. A lot of these people have been getting absolutely bombarded with content all year about starting a business, about making money online, about escaping the matrix, but they actually haven't taken action on any of it until now, and they feel guilty about this. So for our December webinar campaign, we made it all themed around 2025 being around the corner and making 2025 their year. The content in the webinar itself, like the training, was tailored towards getting to 10K a month by the end of Q1, and all the reels, the stories, the emails, all honed in on this angle, and it worked absolutely fantastically. Now, if you take a look at the landing page and the subheadline there, if you notice something, you will notice that for this webinar, our aim was to book calls in for Callum's Inner Circle coaching program. So we weren't actually pitching on the webinar, we weren't pitching his low ticket or his mid ticket. We were getting to people to book in calls for the coaching program. So we wanted to make sure that the lead magnets we were using for the webinar campaign and the messaging was conducive to having this end goal in mind, which is to book calls for the Inner Circle. So we offered people a free worksheet that Callum usually uses to onboard people into the Inner Circle, and this gave people a taste of what the program would actually be like, and it also gave people clarity on what their skill, market, and their offer was going to be. So take what I just told you about offers and then take what I'm showing you at the moment about messaging. When we combined the offer that we wanted to sell with messaging that actually resonated with the audience, the result was we did 42K cash collected within the first 8 days of taking calls after that webinar campaign. The second example is the March webinar campaign, which we actually did last night. But when I made this video, I'm just going to keep going through this because this was when I actually made the training. This was the event that I was working on at the time that I was making the training. Obviously, we did the webinar last night. And on the 1st of January, Callum announced to his Instagram and to his email list that he was going to be doing a speed run to 10K using the framework that he teaches inside of his program. Now, he did this last year in May and he did it in 37 days. So he's doing it again as a way to prove that the framework is still alive and well. He documented all 12 episodes on his Instagram of him doing everything from picking the skill, which is actually his audience chose that, the market he went after, the offer he created, how he did outreach, and how he did the sales. And after 56 days, he collected 10K with a new skill, proving to his audience that his framework does work and works well. And at the start of the speed run, we knew that we were going to do a webinar at the end of the speed run. So we created the messaging for this campaign out of thin air from an idea. And it did take us 56 days to do it, but it was worth it at the end because last night we booked in 50 calls, all qualified, and had over 300 applications, so it was worth it. He posted the video on the left here that got 200K views at the time that I actually put this photo on the slides, and this was to announce that the speed run was complete, that he had done it, and we used this as an opportunity to get signups for the webinar, which we announced when the video went out. In this webinar, in the webinar that we did last night, we broke down how Callum did it and how they can do it with their skill as well. And we also got 750 signups in the first 16 hours using just ManyChat, one Instagram video and one Instagram story. And why? That was because the offer was dialed in. We knew what the offer was going to be at the end of it, and we created great messaging out of thin air, which made it a great webinar campaign. We built up the campaign over time, and we were giving people a value proposition that was irresistible. Like, who in Callum's audience is not going to want to know how to make 10K in 56 days? So if you can choose the right offer and you can create a great message around the campaign, you are going to have no problem getting signups, and they're actually going to be the right kind of signups. So here's some other examples that we've done for active resellers, another one of our clients. So we were basically showing them how they can access the best authentic suppliers for reselling businesses. And this is because their target customer, they're not targeting like a biz op, they're targeting existing resellers who know they need suppliers. So we didn't want to be like, oh, reselling is a great opportunity or anything. It was like, no, this is how we got access to suppliers, because that is exactly who we're going after. So that's an example from one of our clients. If you guys are familiar with Serge Katari, he's doing this webinar. I actually think he did his yesterday as well. And his angle is all around AI. Like, AI is booming. People want a piece of the pie. So that was AI being booming. And then if you look at Cardinal Mason, if you guys are familiar with him, I actually bought his copywriting course of a webinar like this time last year. So most people don't want to get into copywriting because they believe it's going to be replaced by AI. So he's now gone all in on showing people like, no, it's not a disadvantage. Here's how you can do it. It's almost like a new business opportunity, writing with AI. So they are some examples about how to pick the offer, keeping the offer with the end in mind, and then also crafting great messaging around the campaign to get people to sign up. Now, a little bonus section here that I wanted to put in is free versus paid webinars. Now, It's a tricky one, right? And I've experimented with this once or twice. Now, depending on how high ticket your program is, it might be a wise decision to get people to pay just a small fee to register as a way to like qualify them and actually get commitment. For example, like if your offer is 7 to 10K or 10K plus, I would suggest making people pay like maybe 27, like $27 to secure their seat. Maybe if it's like 3K, this is what we tried with one of Callum Carver's webinars and it worked really well, was just £1, and that worked really well. So you're going to have less attendees than if the webinar was free, just because obviously not as many people are willing to pay. But it's kind of the same thesis behind like the value ladder or running a low ticket funnel on the front end and then high ticket on the back end. When people run low ticket funnels, you liquidate your ad spend if you run ads for the webinar because you get people to pay for it. And there's also the principle that buyers buy. So if somebody cannot afford or is not willing to spend $27, then it's unlikely, but it's obviously still possible, that they're going to spend high 4 or 5 figures with you when you pitch them whatever you're going to pitch them at the end of the call. So I don't recommend trying this on your first attempt. I would get a base metric from a free webinar. And then if you feel the need to add more friction when people sign up, then implement accordingly using your own common sense and then also the data. Now, a bonus is the difference between doing a one-day Webby and doing a challenge funnel. So a challenge funnel, like in simple terms, is just a series of webinars. People are typically pay for them that promises them a specific outcome at the end of the challenge. So I use the example of the boys over at Client Ascension because they're actually doing one this week as I'm recording it. I believe the last day is today. If you can see, I know you can't see in my top right hand corner, but they're doing the Get Clients Challenge. So their basically value proposition for this is in 5 days, you will learn how to sign more clients than you can handle. So it's kind of like a 5-day challenge with a specific outcome at the end. With these guys, it's more clients than you can handle. And yeah, so there's some advantages and disadvantages to doing multiple day webinars and like challenges and stuff. So I would say some of the advantages are that if someone actually does attend all of the like 3 days, 5 days, 4 days, whatever it is, then they are definitely more engaged than someone who had just watched a fucking VSL would be, and they've consumed more of your content. They're also more educated, so you're working with less idiots, especially if you have like some sort of one-to-one or high touch point program. You have people who are actually, they know what you do, they're actually committed, and they're not going to be a pain in the arse to work with. And there's also more interaction and more intimacy with it. But some of the disadvantages are that you are probably going to get drop-off rates on the days where people like genuinely might not be able to make it. So for example, if I was going to sign up for this challenge, I do jujitsu twice a week in the evening on Tuesdays and Thursdays when they're doing the challenge, and I would genuinely just not be able to be there for it. So there will be drop-off rates just because people have a life. And unsophisticated markets probably won't do well with this because they can't even commit to watching a reel for 5 seconds, never mind watching 5 hours. If you want us to personally implement the exact system that we've just shown you and more, and do this fully done for you, there's a few options. You have our number one option, which is our flagship fully done for you webinar build, where we build everything for you. Literally everything you saw in this video, we do completely done for you. All you need to do is film the stuff we need you to film and turn up to the webinar. So we need to do the VSL, the reels, put out content, whatever, that we will write for you. You can use this system again and again and again and again, usually every 30 to 45 days, and we will handle everything every single time. And we will iterate and improve on every single webinar for you. Most of our clients stay with us for upwards of like 4 or 5 webinars and counting, because they're just going to keep working with us because we make so much money doing this for them, which is why that people usually opt in to do our fully done for you service. Or if you want a custom offer and you don't need everything, or you just want parts of it, you want us to build the funnel, the systems, write the script, do the presentation, consult with you, whatever it is, you can book a call with me for a custom offer. I will leave the link in the description. And if you're not ready yet and you just want to see more of what we do, you can join our newsletter, subscribe to our channel, and you can see more of what we do through these YouTube videos or on our newsletter, where I also turn this into written format and give you even more source and also tell you exactly the results that we're getting from our campaigns. So that was the free webinar course. I hope you enjoyed it. Go and either opt into the newsletter, get in touch with us for a custom offer, or if you want us to implement all of this with a guarantee of 30 to 50K being added in 90 days, go ahead, book a call, work with us for our full done for you offer, subscribe to the channel. I love you all. Bye-bye. Woo!